John Hutchins from Amazing Garage Floors. So for everyone listening, we've actually been talking for like 20 minutes. We just now finally hit record. So
Yeah, we're catching up a little bit. So
yeah. But yeah, of all the podcasts, Andy's, I get the most feedback from
sorry.
from his episode for whatever reason. I think it's just because he did the research coming into the business, and I
He
think
did.
that's what people are interested in, and that's what I'm interested in. And it's, to me, I like doing floors, and I like doing VCT. I like doing epoxy. I like all of it. But when I talk to people, what interests me the most is building something from nothing.
Hmm.
Yeah. And are you familiar with what's his name? Mike Rowe. Mike Rowe,
Yeah,
Dirty Jobs.
definitely. Big fan.
Like
Yep.
I freaking like I don't want to say I'm gay for Mike Rowe, but I'm gay for Mike Rowe.
Gotcha.
And I'm so what I love about him so much is like he's not political. He doesn't care about politics. I'm sure he does, but he doesn't let it be known on his shows. It doesn't let it be known on his podcast.
Right.
Politics is politics is over here. All I really care about is getting America to work.
Yeah.
Not only getting them to work, but realizing that you don't have to go to a you don't have to go to a 4 year college
Right.
to sit at a computer to make a good job. To make he's all about the trades. And one thing that he mentioned a while back that really kind of stuck with me was like up until like the early 90s. I mean, America first started out like everybody was self-employed. Everybody had a small business. That's how you made your money. You had your business,
Yep.
and that's how you made your money. And then,
Blacksmiths, farmers, exactly. Yep.
yeah. And then, the 80s, kind of changed things where there was a huge drop off in self-employment and trades, especially. And now it's like a very small percent of, I believe, I'll have to go back and listen to it again, but I believe he said like it was like 30% in 1989 or 1990. 30% of the population had a small business, and now it's like less than 10% or something like that. And
Wow.
um, yeah, like it's fascinating to me. People who say, you know what, I'm going to do it, and and then they just go get it. I mean, not everybody makes it. A lot of people fail, but a lot of people fail and then try again, then fail again, and then try again, and then eventually do make it. Some people never make it. I don't know,
Right.
but I was
Well,
fortunate. I was fortunate where my dad had started this company, and he did the trial by error. And then by the time I kind of came along, um, we already had like an established business. And then so when I started doing epoxy, like I have an established business. So like I think I told you this last time. If I don't get another garage or if I don't get another epoxy job for the rest of the year, it's not like I'm going to starve. Like I got enough work.
yeah, but you want it.
I do want it.
I
Yeah,
do.
I
I
do.
like to do it. I
I do.
gotcha.
I enjoy doing it. And you know what I like even better is I like posting the videos and then watching the comments. Like like
I
I
I
love
couldn't let
watching
you
the
up on that patio, but I know you got lit up. I watched one of the other podcasts. Hey, and by the way, congratulations, man. This podcast is, I don't know what your numbers and goals were, but I think you're doing a great job, and I think you're
you
doing a
know
great service here.
I wasn't really sure what was going to happen with this podcast, and but I am surprised that I'm booked, and I am consistently booked about 2 months out.
Yeah. And I've
Like
been watching them. I do understand that us epoxy snobs, I wanted to, put my
yeah,
collar up
there
here.
you go. You got to put your
Epoxy
collar up.
snobs.
You got to look down that nose. You got to look all the way down. No, like man, when it came to starting this podcast, I just wanted to get some information out there and I just wanted to do what I'm doing, which is swap stories. Like a lot of guys, they're like, "So what's our topic going to be?" And there's no topic. Just hop on
Yeah.
here. Let's just talk. But yeah, with the videos, like
Well, and it's floor based. So an hour and a half before we jumped on here, buddy of
mhm,
mine from California calls up, and if you're in my phone, you never know how I'm going to answer the phone. So,
yeah,
so I was like, "Hey, man, I told you not to call me here." And he's like, there was this pause, and he's like, "Do you ever get mad at your employees?"
yeah,
I'm like, well, yeah, that's why I don't have any anymore. So,
yeah,
but went down this road. He asked me a little. I mean, apparently I've grown up, and I guess my title now is business consultant. So
Hmm.
anyway, but he's in the janitorial field. He's in San Diego area.
Hmm.
So I mean, I literally hung up the phone and I told him a little about the podcast. I was like, man, it's business related. You should have a mentor.
Hmm.
Talk with guys. Business is kind of business, and it somewhat translates. Lucky, but I've sent the link to a number of people. Obviously in this industry, but
Hmm.
anyway, but yeah, I mean, totally unrelated. And we just had a quick conversation, a buddy of mine. And anyway, but I think it's great. So I think what you're doing is great. And hopefully that people are getting value out of it.
I think so, and like I told you, like I get comments not on every episode, or not necessarily comments, but I get direct messages from a lot of the episodes saying, "Hey, I like this. Hey, I like that. This guy really helped me with this, and this guy put out some good information here." And that's kind of what it's all about. And I want to get to a point. I think I told you this last time. We are in the process of trying to buy a house. We're like we could probably go ahead and buy. Like if we found one we wanted, we could probably go ahead and buy one right now. But my wife works at a bank, and which is helpful. Um, and but the mortgage lender in her bank is trying to tell us to hold off a little while because the housing market is quickly changing, and if there is a housing bubble, I don't know anything about it. I'm not a I'm not a real estate guy. I've never bought a house, so I don't know it. But if there is such a thing as a housing bubble, it looks like it might be close to popping soon. So we're kind of waiting just to see what's going to happen in the next 6 months, I guess. But
I I wouldn't want to be a realtor. I also have a friend that's a mortgage broker for 18 years, and
mm,
he's just stepped away. So I
mm,
mean, I know interest rates are higher. Historically, they're fine. They're kind of normal to low, but
mm,
just 15, 20 years of 2, 3, 4%. Everybody thinks that that's the norm. So
yeah,
you never know. So it could go lower.
yeah,
Price could go higher. It's a big decision. It's the biggest decision you're going to make. Financial decision anybody really makes is their home.
oh yeah. And part of what I need is, a home office. I need a home business like here. Where we live now, we rent. I have a garage, but it's a shared space with the homeowner.
Mm,
He most of what's in the garage is actually his.
mm,
Probably 85% of what's in the garage is his. So, and then I actually don't have an office. I don't have an office. I am in a room right now, which
mm.
is part of the basement, which is actually not part of what we're supposed to rent. Like this is
No,
actually his. This is actually his junk room.
you're
So
borrowing
if I
it.
was to pan this camera around, it is just nothing but junk. He doesn't even know that I'm using this room. I'm not really like we have access to it. Obviously, it's here, but he doesn't even.
Keep it
It's
down.
not.
He's going to hear you.
I literally like scooched junk away and just propped a poster up back here. That way, it gave me a little something of a backdrop. And
Gotcha.
so part of what like buying a house is gonna do is gonna I'm trying to find a place with a good garage space or a shop space. That way I can work on
Right.
my equipment and have a
Right.
place to store my stuff. And then an office, which would also double as like a podcast studio. And I want to get to a point where I can actually have like do in-person podcasts here in Chattanooga, like people that are locally that want to do it or semi-locally that would want to come in town and do it. And then also I would like to get to a point where it could be like a traveling thing. Like, you and I have been talking about getting me up there to Kansas City, and
Right.
that's something I want to do. But I mean, it'd be nice if I had like some good equipment I can pack up and just take up there.
Right.
Not only just to come see how you're doing things up there, but also it could be a working thing, and we can do a podcast in person. And then say, I know you're not really doing the installs anymore, but let's just say you were.
I'll
We
do one. I'll show you the ropes.
then yeah, so we could go there, and then there could be work lined up,
That's
and
right.
then we could do bringing it back to Mike Rowe. We can do like a dirty jobs type thing where
We
we
could
go
do a
and
dirty
we make a
job.
video on how you do your floors, and it's kind of like an all encompassing thing. That's kind of like the long term goal is to get to something like that,
Awesome.
and it also will give you another platform um, where it's a win win for everybody. Like I come see you. We do a in-person live podcast, which I feel like would be even better than these Zoom ones are because this as good as Zoom is, nothing's as good as in-person
True.
conversations.
Right.
And then also, we can actually step out onto the job site and let's walk through it and just see how John Hutchins does it, how Amazing Garage Floors does it,
Right.
and maybe I learned something along the way where I don't get my ass chewed out in the comments, which I don't care. I don't care. Like you put your work out there to be judged, you're going to get judged. That's how it is.
Well, like you said, there's, I think there's a lot too. I joked earlier with the caller about the epoxy snob. You're right, man. It's a little bit different compared to like your VCT and maybe some of the, because, and some of the epoxy guys will work together. They realize, hey, three of us can go tackle that 20,000 square foot job that, neither one of the three of us could do. But anyway, but yeah, it is a little, I had a gentleman that was, he's going to move from Florida to Colorado, and
Mm-hmm.
I had happened to have trained a few guys in that exact same city in Colorado, and so he wanted to introduce himself, which I've had guys on the podcast say that, and
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so apparently he did, and I texted the guy in Fort Collins and said, hey, did a guy reach out to you? And he's like, yeah, dude, why? That's weird. I'm not going to talk to a new competitor in town, So anyway, so I mean, it is different. It's definitely, and I see it in the forums as well. So, uh,
I've reached out to I've reached out just in the Chattanooga local area. I don't know any of these guys.
right.
Uh, I reached out to about four different ones. Say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Putting a podcast together. This was months ago. It was before I even released anything. I think I put a podcast together, just on floors, and just see if you guys want to talk about it. And I reached out to four. Three of them looked at it, didn't even respond.
Mm,
The third one just said no, or the fourth one just said no, just
mm,
flat out no.
interesting.
And so, like I said, I didn't know any of these guys. It was just like a cold call. So I kind of don't do and don't blame them. I didn't have any content to show them what it could be. I may try again later. I may not. I don't know. I do know a couple of epoxy guys in Chattanooga, but they're so man, they're like the top name guys, and they're so busy all the
Yeah.
time. One of them
Right.
lives like right around the corner, and I talked to him, and he's like just trying to have a phone conversation with him for like 3 minutes is kind of tough because he's like, yeah, I gotta go.
Right.
Sorry, we'll talk later. Okay, click, bye. Yeah, he's just one of those guys, and you
Yeah.
know, but but I've also talked to so I reached out to a guy from Australia the other day, like literally like last week. I was just scrolling through reels,
Hmm.
and this guy's polishing concrete and just looking at it, and he got to talking, and he had a Australian accent, so I went and I checked out his page. Yeah, he's outside of Melbourne, Australia, and sent him a message, said, hey, I'm doing this podcast. I sent him a couple of the soundbite clips, and asked him if he was interested in coming on and telling his story and letting us know in the US how they do it down there.
Right.
And he's super excited to do it. We just got to figure out a time because
Yeah.
because
What are you,
nine
12
o'clock in the
hours?
morning for him is 8 o'clock in the evening for
Okay.
me. So
Right.
we got to figure out a time that actually works for everybody.
Right. Right. So yeah, I bet I've out at World of Concrete. I'd met and went out with an Australian guy that does a lot of flake floors, and well, he does a
Hmm.
lot of everything in Australia. Definitely over there and doing it, and
Hmm.
for sure. So
Yeah, like it's funny to me, not funny to me. It's interesting to me just to see how not only everybody in the U.S. does it, but I want to see how everyone does it everywhere. Like my wife, I may have told you this. My wife is from the Philippines, and so like I've already like we're not planning a trip to the Philippines, but the next time we do go to the Philippines,
hmm.
I'm going to actually put the word out there, like, hey, anybody that's in the Philippines does anything,
Yeah, I
let
don't
me
know.
know because number one, I want to come see how you do it.
Hmm.
I want to come work with you for a day or two and just kind of see how it's done, if you'll have me. And then if they can speak good English, maybe we'll have you
Right.
on the podcast. And that's not anything. I want people to be able to listen to the podcast without having to strain. What do you say?
Right.
Which most Filipinos speak pretty good, pretty decent English.
Do that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a second language. Like
Second.
they're
Yeah.
they're taught English in elementary school now.
Right.
Like my
Right.
wife, she speaks better English than I do. So
No.
she's been in the U.S. Almost 9 years, and she speaks.
I
she speaks better English than I do.
I recently tried to help a gentleman that wanted to take some equipment to Africa, and we just the language was tough.
Yeah.
But power requirements are different. Apparently, everything in Africa is 220 power, which is fine, which is what we use a lot. But
Yeah.
it was just he wanted to take it over there, and apparently they don't do much finishing to their concrete. He really wanted to polish concrete,
Mm.
but I just didn't feel like yeah, there was just a lot of challenges to get into get the equipment to Africa. I guess we'd ship it to Houston and then go from there, but a lot of
Yeah.
challenges. So I guess I'm worldwide now, huh?
Well, you got to deal with like bill of lading and all that
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
And there's,
it was going to be a lot of we kind of just dropped the conversation. I'm just not maybe that's the best solution to get him going over
yeah.
there. So
Well, I've thought
and
about,
a lot of it was monetarily. You only want to spend like $4,000, and you just can't get a polisher for 4 grand. So
yeah, yeah, for sure. There was a podcast I had recently with a guy named Caleb Dickout was his name,
Mhm.
and super nice guy, very informative.
Yep.
He's from Canada, but now lives in Colombia.
Yeah, I was listening to that one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know if you heard him talk about they were polished. They're polishing concrete's kind of popping up down there. Epoxy's popping up. They're doing it with little tiny swing machines and
Yeah.
like good luck. So, but the local guy I was telling you about that I was going to go help with a metallic floor. He still doesn't even have like a walk behind grinder. He does
Hmm.
everything with a hand grinder, a 7-inch
Wow.
Makita hand grinder.
Hmm.
No, no, no. This his setup he bought from Harbor Freight, so he has the
Cool.
Hercules hand grinder and the Hercules shop vac, and that's what
Hmm.
he did. That's what he's done everything. And he shows me some of his work, and he does good. I mean, in my eyes, I think it looks great. But he was doing this 2,000 square foot barn dominium, which is why he hired me. So
With a hand grinder? Oh, you're going to bring your grinder
I'm
out.
gonna bring, yeah, I'm gonna bring my propane grinder. I
I
just
did catch
put
that. I
together.
did catch that video. I told you I was going to give you a little crap on that. First thing you said, you ran out of propane. Know
Oh
it?
yeah, well yeah, yeah. So well, that was kind of a fluke. Like I keep propane on hand all the time because
Okay.
most of all of my floor cleaning equipment is propane actually.
Yeah, right.
So I got propane out the yazoo. I just wasn't able to finish the that video that day because I didn't have any
Oh,
propane on hand.
okay.
But no, it runs good. It was I haven't had a chance to use it yet, and I'm excited to use it. I'm really itching to use it. I got a garage I'm doing
That's
next Friday. So next Friday I'll actually get to crank it up and put it to the test. I'll bring my other grinder just in case that one kind of
so.
has
What
issues.
were you modifying that, repairing it? What were you doing? I didn't quite catch all that.
So if you look back through my videos, probably about 3 months ago,
Okay.
basically what I did is I took an Edco
Okay.
grinder with a blown motor on it. It had a blown
Okay.
Honda motor on it. I picked it up off eBay for $150.
Okay. I'd heard you talking about that. I didn't. I thought that was another piece of flooring
N-
equipment. I didn't
No,
realize.
no, no. It was an Edco grinder with a blown Honda motor on it, and I took
Got
that motor off and tossed it.
it. Okay.
And then I took a propane burnisher buffer
Hmm.
that I didn't care about and took the
Okay.
motor off.
Okay.
And basically, it's a direct bolt in. So it was a pretty easy swap. The problem was is finding a way to fabricate a way to hold a propane tank on there.
Oh, okay.
And that was what kind of held me up. I've been so busy. I've
Okay.
been traveling back and forth from Chattanooga to Cincinnati
Hmm.
to Washington, D.C. to Louisville, Kentucky. I've been all over the place and I just haven't had
Right.
time to deal with it. And so my buddy Joe, who lives outside of Nashville, he loves Frankensteining machines together. That's like his like that's his favorite thing to do is just to find junk and then Frankenstein it into something.
Right.
He's
That's
not
what.
he's the type of guy that he's not going to buy something to he's not going to buy he's not going to buy an like an edger. Like he's going to buy something else and turn it into an edger. That's just how he is.
Gotcha.
And so I took it to him and I took him some junk equipment and he basically fabricated a tank holder for me and bolted it all
Okay.
in. So he was
Cool.
able to help me get it finished up quickly, whereas I would have been still working on it next month.
Right.
But anyhow, now it runs off propane, so
Hmm.
we can run it indoors,
Right.
and I don't have to worry about killing myself with carbon monoxide.
Well, propane still makes carbon monoxide, just less of it.
Just less of it, and but I've been running propane motors indoors for years, and
Oh
if they do put off emissions, I don't notice it. Like I just whereas
yeah.
that Honda one, I have that Edco Honda. I have another one, which is the one I've always used since I started doing epoxy, and I ran it in a vacant building once, which had big, it was enclosed, but there was lots of windows, lots of doors, and I put fans, good cross circulation. I ran it through that thing, and
Right.
I did okay with it until we got into this one back room, and
Yeah.
I guess the ventilation wasn't very good back there. And after about 4 minutes, I had to turn it off and go outside and lay down because the
Yeah.
carbon monoxide was going to kill me because I'm an
Right.
idiot.
Yeah, in my 20 years, I've only rented propane twice, and that was I'm an on-floor guy, and
Yeah.
on-floor didn't make a 30 at the time. They
Mm,
do now, and so yeah, the first one I did 20, I think I was around 22, 23,000 feet, but 20, 30 foot ceiling, so no big deal. So
mm,
I decided I've got some tricky glue and some other things. This was 12, 15 years ago, but anyway, about 8,500 feet. So I decided to go ahead and rent another propane grinder. And yeah, it was the same thing. We had a garage door back there and everything was great. But as we got deeper and deeper into this it was kind of a work. I was sold as it was more of a museum, but it was more of a working museum. So,
mhm,
but they were pretty abusive to that floor overall. But yeah, I got to the back there and I totally forgot about carbon monoxide and had a headache. And the guy helping me is like, yeah, I do too. And I was like, oh, shit, or carbon monoxide in ourselves. So my brother's a physician's assistant, and it's 8 or 9 o'clock at night,
mhm.
and so didn't really want to go to a urgent care. Like, what do I do? He's like, just get out of there and just let the carbon monoxide get out of the blood. But yeah, it definitely had a headache and put us a little bit behind because the carbon monoxide sensor kept going off, but they told me at the rental place, oh, just ignore it. It goes off all the time.
Mm.
So,
A
well,
lot of
yeah.
these machines these days, like if it's anything newer than like a 2015 model, uh, especially with Kawasaki's, they have these internal emissions. They basically have emissions controls on them,
Oh, really?
and if it puts off anything over, I want to say like 500 parts per million,
Mm-hmm.
it shuts the motor down and it won't let it
So,
run.
okay.
Um, there are ways to jimmy around it. I don't
Oh,
suggest it,
yeah.
but
Yeah, another friend of mine just found out he bought a used one, and
yeah,
it was bypassed, so he had to have
yeah.
that fixed at the service center. So,
So
it,
like I have propane burnishers I keep in um, grocery stores. We have this chain of grocery stores. We just scrub and buff the floor that 5 6 days a week, depending on what they are. I don't always do it. In fact, I don't do most of them. So I have people that do them, and I keep machines in the building. And every 3 months, I got to go in and basically run an emissions test on them and make sure that they're all running under 500 parts per million, because if it goes over 500 parts per million, you got to take it in and get it serviced. And I do most of the servicing on them myself, but
so,
in 25 years, I don't think I've ever gotten carbon monoxide poisoning
right,
from a propane motor. I've definitely got it from that that
gotcha.
Honda motor. Like
So,
that one about killed me.
how
But
many horse are your machines you're using like a burnisher? Is that like a 5 horse
oh,
or
no, no, no.
are they
Most
somewhat
of
like?
most of them most of them are 17 or 19.
Okay, okay, that's what I was kind of thinking, but I was wondering why. Yeah, because I mean, some of the concrete grinders get more into the 25, 30 horse,
Yeah.
and I just didn't know if they were putting out that much more carbon monoxide.
So the Kawasaki's that are kind of coming out now, like the newer ones, like really newer ones, are mostly probably about 23, I think. And I have
Okay,
I have one buffer with that exact motor on it, and
okay.
you don't really need a lot of horsepower on a buffer because you're not putting force on the floor.
Right, right.
You're not gripping the floor. You're basically running a pad across it to heat up the wax,
Yep.
and the heat uh
Mm.
hardens the wax, pops the shine on it, and hardens it, and that's what protects it. So you're not really trying to put force down on it.
You
But
want
I have
speed
like
more than, yeah, you want
with
speed
these,
and heat, right? Speed and heat.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, the
Yeah.
heat. Whereas these floor stripping machines, they're gripping the floor, not as much as a grinder, but they're still
Okay.
gripping the floor, trying to rip that wax off.
Okay.
But I have like I have one buffer that has a 13 horsepower motor, which
So,
I love. That's my little one. That's like arguably my favorite one. Can carry it in my van very easily, and it still pops a really good shine. And then most of them are 17s. The one I put on the grinder was a 17, but the Honda motor that I had taken off was an 11. So it went from 11 horsepower to 17.
okay.
It's a little bit of a heavier motor. It's going to spin faster. I'm looking forward to it. I'm thinking it's going to. I'm thinking it's going to really change how quickly I can do 1,000 square foot,
Right.
by making that switch.
Yeah, I found it interesting how you guys have to deal with different companies and the hospitals, and you can only do 1,000 foot or half a night. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow. So and then we've talked about the low cents per square feet and
Yeah.
everything in your industry. So seems like a lot of work and a lot of time for a few $100 in some cases.
So it is.
I
I
guess you
mean, so
contract.
the problem with VCT is like the barrier for entry is so low. Like
Right.
anybody, if
Right.
let's just say you could start a stripping and waxing floor cleaning business for $500 right now.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
go on Facebook Marketplace, you find
Yep.
a
Two
swing
hundred
machine.
dollars. Yep.
You can pick one up for 200 or 300 bucks. You
Yep.
go to Home Depot, you pick up a wet vac, a good wet vac. You might even have one laying around,
Right.
and then all you need is some mop buckets and some mops. And you don't even need to buy new mop buckets. You can buy used ones off of Facebook Marketplace for $20 each,
Yeah.
and then you're ready to go. All you do is find the
Yeah.
place, and anybody can do it. And
Yeah. Well, the
um,
vacuums are what people in the concrete industry people neglect. They look at the big dollars for the grinders, but they forget they've also got a big purchase on those vacs too. Those
yeah,
upper vacs are pricey. So,
yeah, man, I'm still running shop vacs.
oh
Like,
yeah, yeah.
but I bought the Millet dust collector. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it goes between your wand or it goes in your hose. So before the concrete dust actually hits the rigid shop vac, like
Hmm.
it's actually separating out the fine dust before it
Okay.
goes into the shop vac. And then I run collection bags in the shop vac, and then I
Mhm.
have the filter, and then I have the filter protector that goes across it. So I'm actually still using the same shop vac I bought like 2 years ago and
Mhm.
haven't burned it up yet.
Sure.
And it does a pretty good job of separating out the dust, but I do vacuum the floor probably more than I should
Mhm.
have to if I had a real concrete vacuum. Like I
Gotcha.
go back and I vacuum the floor. Even though you see it on the videos, like you may see me only do it once or twice. We're
Hmm.
actually vacuuming most
Oh yeah.
floors probably 3 or 4 times before
Right.
we actually attempt to try to even put epoxy down, just to make
Well,
sure.
yeah, so my wife, she was actually I was out of town, and we have a couple of guys we're helping here locally, and they'd blown the floor up, made a mess out of it, type deal, and so she was out there helping them because I was out of town, and come to find out that they'd spent $18,000 on actually a Dytech grinder, your brand that's made
Yeah,
right here
yeah,
in the area, and but because they kind of blown their budget on that, they were running the $350 Harbor Freight,
yeah.
and you just need a vacuum for your flake and everything. You just need the vacuum. I mean, it's just I just don't want guys to forget about it. It's a those are the core. Your grinder and your vacuum are just the core of your setup.
What
So
kind of vacuums do you like?
um, I'm liking the dust control as a new one. I've used Husqvarna for years. I loved the S26s and S36s that they had. They were just such a simple, durable machine, not cheap, but you're using them, but they quit making them, and they're into the DE120s and the DE130s. Still a good vac, but I feel like they're a little too smart for us.
Hmm.
They're one of the biggest complaints is this alarm that sounds constantly. I saw somebody tagged me on the forum like, John, how do you fix that? And but honestly, it's user error most of the time. It's just telling you your filter is getting plugged up, and it's time to automatically clean it with the 120. So I found a lot of times guys are just actually they're so smart they have 4 or 5 different hose settings. And so if you have those wrong, like I always considered myself a 2-inch hose, so I was a victim of this as well for a long time. Is every 5 minutes that thing's chirping at me to go stop, shut everything off and go clean it. But honestly, I'm running more like a 1 2/3 or 1 5/8 inch hose. So
Hmm.
once I put the right hose setting on there, it actually, would go 10 or 15 minutes, depending on your grinding and your concrete, but it would go a reasonable amount of time. I mean, sometimes it was even going off every couple minutes. I mean, you'd barely get grinding again and it would start chirping at you to clean the vacuum. So anyway, because it
Yeah,
just, we didn't need all that. So
you last time we spoke, you told me that you like the on floor systems. The
love them.
and how'd you come across those things?
Well, after my first year hand grinding with a 7 inch, well, with about five 7 inch grinders after burning up DeWalt's. But,
Mhm.
I got online. I didn't have any reference whatsoever. And I just found this. I knew I needed a 20 inch grinder and I found a on floor and I picked this phone up and called this guy. And he's like, funny, you should call. And I thought this was total salesman BS. I was just getting ready to raise the price of that.
Mhm.
So we talked for a little while. This is in the back of my head. So, I mean, I give him my credit card. I think at the time it was like a $4,000 20 inch on speed or on floor high speed,
Mhm.
the 221. And I thought, I think this is BS. And I got done hanging up, giving my credit card and everything. And I literally hit F5 on my keyboard and they went up like 800 or $1,000. So
Oh, really?
um, it was a very durable machine. We used it exclusively till probably about, I don't know, 2012, maybe 20. No, it was later than that. I might have bought a couple of them as we got bigger. And then Travis, that still was with him then and still runs on floor. He's like, you need to go to that pro machine. You need to go to that
Mhm.
pro machine. I'm like, nah, this is fine. So anyway, went to that pro machine and um, it just doubles probably to triples because it's variable speed, reversible, just way more production. It's just the perfect for garage floors. And I think I sold around 150, 200 of them before. I actually have a relationship with On Floor now, so they've kind of brought me on as a business consultant here lately. So that's really the bulk of my day is talking to guys, putting them in the right machines. So
Gotcha. What's here's something that's near and dear to my heart, and I want one, I want something, but I'm also like I'm not spending the money for the big ones yet, but like an edger, like a stand-up edger, like something that's going to save this back of mine.
I just sold one 45 minutes before we started this. So yeah, they're very popular. The videos are working. I think you said the last time you'd seen that. And
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I talked to people sometimes one day I'd sold two of them before I even went to launch.
Yeah.
So I mean they're very popular. Some people are kind of pushing back on the price, but it's efficiency too. It's not just your back and your neck, obviously, and a lot of younger guys aren't thinking of that. But we talked backs and necks last time we were on, and
Yeah.
it just makes life easier. If you're trying to do a 1 day floor, I mean, if you're not, some guys spend 30, 45 minutes when they're beginning just getting those edges. I mean, me, I used to get down and do them 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. I could knock out a 3 car garage, but I just didn't want to. I can do it with that edger a little bit faster, but a lot less strain on my body. So
What's the what are the price points on those stand-up edgers you guys got?
we do have them on sale right now. We're doing a 49.95 delivered. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that or not, but
Hmm. Well,
so maybe a little
luck,
free advertising.
luckily
Contact
we
John
have
Hutchins.
dozens and dozens of
Um,
listeners. So,
I've sold them. They're about $1,000 off. They've been running that special since I started with them here a couple months ago. So I don't know when it'll be ending, but it is a really good value because I mean shipping those things they're a grand off, and then shipping them a lot of times is like 400 or 500 bucks too. So we've been moving a lot of them. Those ads are working. So
so what kind of tooling do those things use?
we use the trapezoid style slide in
Mhm.
tools. So I would say at least four that I'm aware of, like companies use those. So On Floor, Lavina, there's a couple other companies out
I think
there
Edco
that
uses
slide
the
in.
same thing then.
Uh, Edco might, if it, I tell guys if it's kind of a trapezoid shape and it
Mhm.
slides in, it's probably the same one.
Yeah,
Husqvarna's are
Edco
totally
calls them
different
the
ones.
magnet traps, and they slide in. They're slightly magnetic, but they also slide in as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of retros, and I think there's even some plates out there now that even though it'd say designed for the trapezoid, you could put the Husqvarna. I don't know what they call the Husqvarna style or whatever,
Mhm.
but I think there's different ways out there. They're off market, not OEM. So
Mhm.
mm.
Yeah, and then are the edgers are they 110s or 220s?
Actually can be either. We typically ship them 110. I just had a conversation earlier today. I think it's just a 2 or 3 wire. We've got support. Don't quote me on the electrical wiring off this,
Mhm.
but I think it's just a 2 or 3 wire configuration in the motor. We can ship them that way if you prefer. So a lot of true polish guys want them that way.
Mhm.
If they're prep, it's just easier to get 110 voltage in a garage.
Yeah.
You can run it off a generator, but you've also probably got a plug or two in your garage. You could be using your customer's
Yeah.
electricity there.
Back when you were doing all the installs, what kind of generators were you running? Or
I actually
did the generator really matter, or did you just plug into the house?
I seldom use the generator. I generally made it part of the sales call and just unplugged our dryer, and just
Yeah.
made a little pigtail connector and buy the appliance cord, terminate it with the 30 volt 220 amp plug, twist lock, and just go plug your extension cord into it and go.
Gotcha. That's one thing I like about the well, previously gasoline motor, but now I will be using going forward the propane,
Mhm.
hopefully, as I don't have to plug into any walls to run that thing. Yes, I still have to run the vacuum line, so I'm still going to be connected, but I don't have
Mhm.
to worry about power. And
Right.
then I do bring a generator, and I run my vacs off the generator.
Yep.
That way the cords are running outside and not
Yeah.
just having to run all over cords and whatnot. And
There is a little coordination to that for sure. You want your cord and your vacuum coming from the same area. I used to have employees and I'd come and they just like they put everything in the middle of the garage and they just went around it.
yeah.
And I was like, guys.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
uh,
Funny
I
thing,
mean,
funny
we'd
thing
have to
about
turn
that is like,
everything off. I had to teach them, like, guys, there's 30 amp, 220 volt power running through all of this. Like, don't move this stuff. So we'd shut everything off and just undo it. It was like a 5 minute ordeal. It's like
mm,
little common sense. Again, not common anymore. But yeah, there is a method to doing that. And that's one of them I always hear. I don't want to deal with power. I don't want to deal with that cord. But when you're always going to be attached to a vacuum.
yeah.
And so as long as you do a little planning, a little bit of brain work here, so yeah, they're coming from the same area, and it's essentially two is one. I've seen guys that'll duct tape them or Velcro them together. I've just never done that. So
Yeah. Too bad there's no company out there that's making a like a I don't know,
on board.
like an onboard vac. Yeah, like a vacuum that could ride right there on your machine and it's all encompassing. Like,
On Floor actually has. We don't sell that. Sister company, we have one, and I think they rent them for the smaller ones, and I
mm,
think it's effective somewhat. But generally, with the concrete dust, it's not. It's too small to not enough power to be running both, and
yeah.
like physically. But some of the big ones do. There's some of these ride-ons are now building and developing vacuums into them, but
I,
again, not a garage feature.
I
So,
early on one of the I burnt up a uh a Ryobi vacuum I had because I thought, you know what? I'm just going to set this right here on top of the motor and run a vac line from the machine to this thing, and
mhm.
then every 15 minutes or so I'll stop and check the battery and check it and. I I turned the grinder on, turned the vac on, and it was nice. It was like all right there,
Right.
and I think I may have made two passes across a two-car garage, and that thing was already plugged up and just trashed at that point.
Let's get your engineer buddy on this.
We've talked about it, and he said the thing that he made his own grinders. His walk behind 32-inch
Wow.
grinders. He made them
Wow.
from floor stripping equipment. Actually,
Okay.
it's a planetary thing, and he's got two of them. He spent a lot of time making them, and he's made all kinds of just Frankenstein together stuff. He said the only thing he cannot make on his own is vacuums. So he says they've burnt up so many vacuums trying to do this and trying to do that and trying to find ways
Yeah.
around it. And the part of the I don't think it's a trying to be cheap thing. I think he just genuinely enjoys just trying to make things.
Hmm.
That's just part of his personality.
Right.
But they finally came to the realization we have to just go buy a vacuum, and the vacuum is the vacuum.
Yeah.
And so they went and they bought like two brand new vacs. I don't know or recall what brands they are, but he said that's it. So although he does have this little Milwaukee like stick vac that has some kind of crazy contraption on it where he'll go and he'll use it to vacuum out like reliefs like
Oh
the
yeah.
joints and stuff like
The
he'll
saw
use
cutter.
he'll utilize that. But if you're doing a large place, so actually the first epoxy floor I ever did was with him. I met him. He found me on Google or something like that and just called me up and says, hey, I'm going to be in Chattanooga. We're doing a grocery store remodel, and we're going to be doing epoxy on it. Would you want to come in as a sub and help us out because we need just hands? And I said, I've never done it before. He says, don't worry about it, I'll teach you. And I said, okay. And anyhow, long story short, we are really good friends now, and In fact, this was a probably 12,000 square foot grocery store that they did epoxy flake floor on. And but yeah, we used that little stick. Like every probably 10 feet or so, you have to clean the filter out and change the batteries. But we use that on all the joints, and I learned some interesting stuff on that job.
Yeah, I mean, we would get into the garages. Typically, I just nothing, no rocket science, just like a screwdriver, just a flat tip, just dig that mud and get gunk out of there, and then just hit it with our vacuum and just with a floor tool and just suck it out. So, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine.
they're
These
used for
big.
more than just the dust collection. They make the other task around the garage that you do. I mean, even just that's what my wife ended up saying. She goes, if I help those guys again, I'm going to be X number of dollars per hour if we're using my equipment. And if we're using theirs, I'm going to be $200 an hour more. And it's going to take twice as many hours
Yeah.
because it's just,
Well,
uh,
this guy, so
they're not
like I said,
prepared. No process.
he is one of my closest friends. Like I love him to death.
Mm-hmm.
But if ever we go and do a project together in the future, I won't be using his equipment. Like we'll be
Right.
using mine.
Yeah.
Other than maybe his vacuums, but like I found a picture the other day. So he helped me last summer actually. We have these tire shops I do the floor for, so I do the VCT. And when they want the VCT to come up, when the VCT is past its point of life, they
Mm-hmm.
epoxy the floor. So we did two of them last year,
Nice.
and they were kind of in his neck of the woods, and I just wanted to work with him again, and so we partnered together, and we used his grinders, and I found pictures, and it's like 1,500 square foot like showroom area. I
Mm-hmm.
found pictures of me taking a picture of just someone running the grinder. This is before I started doing content creation, and it looks like we're grinding the floor in a cloud. It is
Oh,
just
yeah.
dust everywhere, and
Yes.
like you step outside and you shake, and it was
Right.
not necessarily a vacuum problem. It was his Frankenstein grinders
Mm-hmm.
that are not. You know, he took these floor stripping machines and
Right.
and and
No
and
dust shrouds or anything like that to keep it
oh no.
contained.
No,
Yeah.
he used
Yeah.
he has bungee corded dust mops that go around the bottom that are holding the dust in. And don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, like I love this dude to death. He's one of my closest friends. But if ever we work together on a project,
Yeah.
especially now that I have this propane machine that he helped me put together, we'll be
Mm.
using that.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I've showed it to him like the videos of me using it. And he's like, "There's no dust," and I'm like, "Yeah." Like even with my shop vac, there's
Right.
virtually like I could probably run one of those without a mask and probably be okay.
Hmm.
I
Oh yeah.
don't. I usually
Yeah.
try to keep the mask on just in case.
Yeah.
But
Right.
with his,
Yeah.
with his, you have to have like a full face mask, and then you have to like change the filter because there's just so much dust in the air because it just
Right.
escapes his and they're. I'll see if I can find the picture, or I might even have some videos. I'll send it to you. But they're monstrosities, dude.
Yeah.
They're
I see these guys
planetary.
working in clouds of dust, and I'm like, "Oh, wow." So anyway, no. So
They're planetary, but like they just the way they work, you're not getting a good you're not getting a good dust shroud seal on the ground,
right.
and there's just
Right.
dust going everywhere, and they're lighter than any planetary propane motorized grinder is. So like a
Mm.
good 32-inch propane grinder off the shelf is probably what 800-900 pounds, something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas these things are about
Probably smart.
350
Yeah.
400 pounds, so
Yeah.
they bounce. They'll
Oh,
they'll,
okay.
they'll grip
Yeah.
the floor and they'll bounce, and then
Right.
like like I remember the first time I ever used one of them was at that grocery store, and I ran one for probably 6 hours straight. Like the next day, like my hands and arms and back were like I
Mm.
ran through, got like
Yeah.
sucked into a meat grinder.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's the thing about the on floor. They're light. They're so easy to use. They produce. I mean, pound per pound and dollar for dollar, they way outproduce all that kind of stuff. And you know,
how much does a 32-inch on floor
the
machine
30
weigh?
inch. Since we're bringing them back, boy, I'm putting all of our specials out there. I honestly, right now, we've got them at like 15 grand. It's
Yeah,
stupid low. But the 20s are, that's where I put most guys. Most guys don't need a 30. I mean,
yeah.
um, I said this the other day on a phone call. It's like no matter what, that 30 inch is not going to fit through a 24-inch door. It just won't,
Yeah.
and it's not going to go in that basement. I mean, they won't. They will, but yeah, and we come in more at like 500 pounds. It's just the technology, and it's not even new technology. We've been putting these machines out for 25 years. They just like the old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
So but yeah, they've just cut. We don't need all we don't have any cup holders or lights. You're gonna have to add those yourself.
Oh no, no
They
beer
don't
holder.
look as cool. So, well, hey.
Yeah. You can attach it yourself.
Exactly. So anyway, but
Why does on do you know uh why they don't offer a propane version? They just prefer the electric?
a few years ago it was talked about, but there's honestly just I didn't even realize this until the last month. I mean, it's the ongoing maintenance cost. It's like the engine
Mm.
that you're working on. You enjoy working on them. You can work on them, but 95% of these guys can't.
Yeah.
I recently had a challenge to a guy I had sold here locally, about an hour and a half away, but um, he loves his on 420. He's like, John, we just do these pole barns and our concrete is so hard. We want to still do a 1 day floor at 12, 15, 1800 feet. And I'm like, okay. They're like, what can you get us? And I said, well, I talked around. I told him I'd get him another brand at cost just because I could. And I was like, but because I really like these guys, they're starting out. They're about a year and a half in. We're working great together. They're doing everything right. But I was like, God, I just don't want you guys to have to go propane. And it took me about 20 minutes. And I thought, they're like, we just can't do another electric. We don't have the power.
Mhm.
And I thought, took me about 20 minutes. And I called them back up. I said, just buy another generator
Mhm.
for $1,500. So now they already have a 16-foot trailer, which is bigger than I recommend 6x12 for most guys.
Mhm.
Starting out, they've already got a 16 or it might even be a 20-foot trailer. They've got plenty of room.
Mhm.
So yeah, they picked it up on Saturday. They're running two of them now. They haven't bought their generator yet, to my knowledge, but anyway, so it's just another generator setup.
Yeah.
And it's easier. I was talking to another buddy that took his in for service, and I never did get the dollar amount, but apparently every time he picks it up and moves it, he's throwing a belt, and he needed some engine work, and his was the carbon monoxide sensor that had been bypassed, and I guess they wouldn't let it out without. I didn't get all the details. I guess they wouldn't let him, like, they wouldn't fix it unless he fixed that. I don't know what that cost, but it sounded to me like he was into it for a couple grand. You can buy a $1,500 generator that'll run an on 420 Pro well at 13 kilowatts. And so, yeah, they picked it up Saturday. So anyway, they're running two
No,
of them.
I can definitely see your point there. Like
Yeah,
if you're not mechanically inclined or don't want to work on them, then
yeah.
the electric is the way to go because it's just
Well, and
plug
they're
and
they're so
play.
complex. I mean, you basically got a car engine sitting on top of that thing.
And you are correct. Like if you take a motor in to any certified mechanic and there's an emissions issue, that has to be fixed first before they do anything else.
Okay.
It's like emissions on a car. Like if you fail emissions or you fail emissions on a car, they're not going to give you a registration on it. And
Yeah.
then you even have to show, like, at least around here, not anymore, but they did away with it here like a couple years ago. But before,
Right.
like, you had to even show like paperwork from where you got it fixed, who fixed it, how it got fixed in order to pass the emissions too. Like if you
Right. On
fail it
your
even
cars, you
once
mean? On cars?
on cars. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then it comes down to getting something fixed. I mean, I think the other buddy spent around 2,000 getting his other propane fixed, and you could go buy another generator if it totally screwed up. I mean,
Yeah.
for
Yeah, I
1,500.
took some I I recently had some floor buffers for sale. Um
I think I saw that in your group.
yeah. I had three of them for sale. Had a guy from Central Georgia buy them down in Warner Robins, Georgia, which is about an hour and a half south of Atlanta, and he asked me to bring him to him. So I told him what my delivery charge would be, and I drove him down there yesterday morning, and
Nice.
I got down there, and he does VCT, and he's like, you don't work on these, do you? And I said, yeah. And he says, he brings me back into a shop. He's got like four of them sitting there. All of them need work, and he's like. And I was like, "Do you want me to work on them, or you want to sell them?" And he goes, "I don't really want to sell them. I just need somebody to work on them." I said, "Well, I'm
Yeah.
not your guy. I live 4 hours away."
Yeah.
And
It's
he
hard
said,
to get people to fix these things.
that's what he said. He says, "I can't find anybody to work on them."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
The
I
worst thing, and it
generally
doesn't
don't
happen very
do.
often, is a new motor. And I mean, the average guy that can change a wheel on a tire, I mean, change a tire, if you have to, you got a few wires. I mean, we have support, but you could throw a new motor on. That does not happen very often, but
Yeah.
that's, I don't know, grand. I don't quote me on the price. I have no idea, but like the machines I'm running are 9 years old, and for several years I kept selling my new ones to newer guys getting in. I thought this is stupid. I'm buying a new car every year and taking the hit.
Yeah.
So they just go. So, hmm.
Gotcha. So, aside from the on machines, which we like talking about, I'm a machine guy. I like talking about machines.
Yeah, I know.
That's one of my favorite subjects, I guess. What's new with amazing garage floors? What are you guys doing these days?
It's this is kind of taking a little bit of a backseat, but I mean, we're still here to support. I'm working with some new guys. They're getting into floors with they're already into some other specialty contractors. I thought it was going to end up being like 5 stores, but it might end up being more like 15 stores. So one of the guys has 7 and building an eighth. So we're kind of working with that. We're working on getting some more products out. We're always available online. So
Mm,
here to support. We just got, we're just more of that direct model. So we're avoiding the store. So
gotcha. I was listening. I kind of went through in preparations for our talk today. I kind of went through and I didn't re-listen to our entire episode last time, but I just kind of skimmed through it a little bit. I've
mhm.
actually not listened to one of these episodes all the way through. Like I feel like I talk it,
Right, right.
but when someone's gonna come back on, like you came back on, Matthew Manning came back on, I'll listen to our conversation a little bit. One thing that you had said before, and I believe it was also in the soundbite I made, which was you believe this is one of the most scalable businesses.
Hmm.
Like, and so this is one thing I wanted to ask you: how does someone scale their business? Like, some dude trying, just starting out,
Hmm.
how does somebody make something from nothing? How do they go about finding the right clients for them in a
Well,
way that's actually going to be profitable for them?
right. Well, and I think maybe I think you're saying grow your business. What I meant by scalable is we got guys that can just do a few floors a year,
Gotcha. Yeah.
and make good side money, or
Yeah.
go out and do 100, 150. Um, I hate it, but the way most people in the industry are doing it is Facebook ads. I absolutely loathe it. Your gentleman that was on, I think it was Andy,
Mm-hmm.
talked about Google. I think you're a lot better there. It's probably my weak spot is I don't do a lot of advertising, at least on my installation side, just because I never needed it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I've sold that off to my employees. They're doing great. They're busy. They hit their goal exactly last year with 140 floors. That's working for them. But whether you want, I think so many guys want to go too big. They want to run. I talk to guys wanting to run 3, 4, 5 floors every, or 5 crews every week.
Oh, no,
Um,
not this guy.
it's a zoo, man. I mean, it's just the monkeys are running,
Let me
running
tell
the
you.
asylum and
Let me tell you how.
grow smart.
Let me tell you how much room I want to grow as a business. Like just me personally. Like I have zero desire to bring on any more people.
Right. Me
No,
too.
no desire.
Right.
Like I
Right.
have I have myself, then I got my son, he's 16, so he kind of helps me whenever. And
Yep.
then I have a guy named Tim. He works full time. I never see him.
All right.
He does all his work on his own. I have another guy named Tim. He works part time. I've only met the guy twice. No, I've only met the guy twice in person. He
Right.
was actually hired by my dad,
Okay.
when Dad owned the business, and
Right.
he worked for me for 2 years before I ever laid eyes on him.
Really.
So yeah, I don't. He was on his own, and then I have two other part-time guys that work like kind of like an on-call basis slash they fill in for me when I'm out of town doing work or when
Hmm.
I'm busy doing other work. They kind of just it's nothing regular. It's just when I need them, and that's what I
Right.
have
Right.
now. I'm not really looking to grow the VCT side of the business at all. I'm not
Right.
like it's gonna come. Like if someone offers it to me, I'll take it. But I'm not actively like I gotta go
Right.
find some more. I need another grocery store because I don't need another grocery store. I
You're just
actually,
you're just
if
maintaining. You're just
if
maintaining
if
there.
someone offered me another grocery store, I'd say no.
Okay.
Actually, because
Right.
I'm
Right.
so
Right.
sick of grocery stores,
Hmm.
especially right now, like the day before uh 4th of July. They're all nasty. They're
Yep.
all nasty. But
Hmm.
and that's beside the point. I this is how little or as much work as I would absolutely want to take. I I would be ecstatic, just absolutely ecstatic if I could get one garage a week.
Yeah.
like, and I could do that, and my manpower would not have to change, and like it would help me get like really figure out my system just
Hmm.
1 week. Like if I could do them
Yeah.
like every Thursday, I just
Yeah.
one garage. All right, I mean,
Yeah.
shoot, even like every other week. I
Yeah.
couldn't do more than 1 a week.
Right.
I couldn't
Yeah.
without bringing on more people, and I wouldn't want to do more than 1 a week.
Right.
I'd burn out, and I don't want to burn out.
Well, and I get husband and wives. I get father son. Groups like that, and that they'll just go out and that's their whole goal is just go do one on Saturday,
Hmm.
and they have a job or they have school, but that'll put a kid or two through college. I mean,
Yeah,
the gross margins there. You got an investment. I mean, investment in equipment, but investment in tuition too. So,
especially
um,
someone like me, like you know, I see the value in the on-floor systems, machines, but like I own all my equipment. I don't. I
right.
have no payments on
Hmm.
anything, and so like whenever I get a garage, all my overhead is materials, and then whatever labor I bring on with me. And my materials at this point are, I'm partnered with a good company that is giving me a really good price on their systems, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty ecstatic. I'm pretty happy to have. In fact, they're actually coming on in a couple weeks. Like next here in a couple weeks, the one of the marketing supervisors is coming on. He's going to tell us all about their systems and what they do.
Cool. No,
So
I'll definitely watch that to learn too, because I'm a little familiar with that company because they're right here. I've worked with their marketing company, and
Go Shield,
yeah, but what's that?
Go Shield.
Oh no, not Ghost Shield. I think you were talking about Ditech.
No, 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 not Ditech.
Okay. Oh, okay.
No, no,
On
they're
your
the
okay. Oh, you're talking about on your epoxy on your flooring systems.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha. Okay, yeah. Okay. So yeah, I
No,
mean,
Ditech. I would love to get Ditech on here. I know a lot of people that work down there.
okay.
I'm just too embarrassed to ask them yet at this point in time because they're big boys. They
Yeah,
are
yeah.
big boys.
I mean that's the way most of these companies are. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people involved and everything, but I mean, but yeah, it's all about systems. I mean, that's if you call and you set up a call, and that's what I do is I go through how do you want to build this business. That's where we go, and I put you in the equipment to get you there. Like I said, not everybody wants to do 150 floors a year with one crew or run 4 or 5 crews, but I certainly I've taken people there. From just a few a year to 150 a year to even more than that. So with multiple crews. 150 a year is about all you can pull off, really, with one crew. I feel so.
Gotcha. So you had said when we started talking that you had a few points that you wanted to talk about. Have we hit on any of those, or you got anything else you want to bring up?
No, I mean, I just made a couple quick notes here, but no, I mean, I like I said, my thing is, I think you're doing great with the podcast. I mean, I don't know where your goals were, whether you're hitting them or not, but I think the information is very valuable. I've referred it, I think, as I told you before we were online, maybe it was, but my buddy in California. But anyway, like I said, it's applicable to a lot of different things. Business is business, so whether we're doing floors or roofs, I mean, you have to have
Mhm.
ladders for roofs, I guess. But I mean, but I mean, it's but and a lot of the other thing I would probably say would be strategic alliances for you. I
Mhm.
think you could, get in with some builders, something like that. I think one of the other, maybe Andy mentioned strategic alliances in one of the marketing videos, but somebody did. But that's one I think
No,
people
that was
forget
Tim. That
about.
was Tim
Oh, was
Williamson.
it Tim? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. It was Tim. Yeah. And now I remember that. He gave you some good home show tips on there. Um, I definitely have that floor. I did share a little offline. I built those towers for home
Mhm.
shows, and floors are great to see, but it seems like at least in my part of the world, they all want to touch them and feel them. So I built these little pillars with these little towers with 4 colors on each of them. So I made 2 of those towers, and so people really like to feel those things. But just do honest, hard work, and do good work and stand behind your work, and the business will come. I've Some of my best advocates over the years were because we actually went back and did our repair work.
Mhm. Yeah.
It wasn't so much my system; it was my employees when I had more. So I don't know if I shared this, but I had some employees in the beginning that decided doing floors was pretty much like tack strip. So if they just hand ground the edges, the epoxy would all hold it together. So
Oh, yeah.
probably about 70 of those went through, to the point that
Yeah.
if we got a call, we didn't even drive out and waste our time to look at it. We just scheduled them
Yeah.
to redo their floor. So,
How hard is that? How
what's
hard
that?
is that?
Oh, to redo them?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you don't make any money by the time you do them twice. Let's put it that way. But
Well, yeah, yeah.
tearing
I
off
mean,
our
just like
floors,
physically, how hard is it to take off an old an old floor and redo the whole thing? Is it
well,
harder? Is it harder or easier than
it's
doing?
definitely easier if it was not prepped, which they didn't prep. But yeah, in the weird instances that we have to take, our floors never fail due to. I'm sorry, I'm getting a call. Hopefully, that's not coming through on this. But
Okay.
um, our floors, if prepped properly, are very difficult to get up. But if they're not, they grind off fairly simple. It's the prep, but yeah, the way we bond with our products, it definitely can be a challenge getting those off because but we take the PCD scrapers typically to that. But where we have problems is in our area of the world is with settling. We have a lot of clay soils,
Mm,
so if they fall down and they move, we have the cracks, and then we usually go back and we say, hey, this thing needs to be mud jacked. And if they do it, we just tear off the whole floor generally and redo it. Sometimes we just do the cost of the product. It's not a warranty issue. Having a warranty and spelling out what you do and what you don't do is very important as well. Sometimes they just mud jack, they replace a few holes and they're okay. We'll just fix the holes and fix the crack a little bit. It's case by case. So,
yeah.
but stand behind your work. We've never had a better business bureau complaint. I hear from competitors our floors fail, but they never have any proof. I had one guy that was swearing up and down. He was ripping us online. Well, yeah, you guys did the floor 7 years ago. Now they want us to do it. I said, you know what? Who is it? He wouldn't give me the answer. I said because I said we'll be happy to tear the floor off and redo it if that's what it needs, and that just shut him up. So he was trying to act like he was the big guy. He's going to fix our floors, but I'm like, I have a 15-year warranty on our floors. We'll gladly do it. We've done it before. So, but that's when it went silent. When it went radio silent.
Yeah.
So
I like those guys. They complain. Well, I'm just gonna have to come back and fix someone else's mistakes. Are you getting paid? You can always say no. Like, why are you complaining about work? Like,
right.
if you don't want to fix someone else's mistakes, you can always say no to the work. You don't have to take it. Like,
Yeah.
people just they love to do that.
Yeah.
And some
Yeah.
people can't help it. They just
Well,
have to.
Well, we've had a
They
lot of people say, "Well, it's an amazing garage floor. It looks just like yours." I'm like, "Well, where's the contract? Where's the receipt? Because we don't have you in our system
Mhm.
as a customer. So that we've had that happen a number of times over the years. That hey, we know it's yours. It's yours. Or, stand behind your work. I'm like,
Mhm.
you're not in our system. Just we did it, so you should be looking at a contract. You got our phone number. It
Mhm.
it just never happened. So
Yeah.
it's just I don't know if they're trying or they're confused or what, but
Mhm.
we've always stood behind our work. It's gotten we had a I know we talked about home shows. I put my old home show display behind me today, but we had a customer and I happened to have a photo. We almost always did the sidewalls. He had 2 foot tall vertical foundation walls, and we didn't do them. And I just happened to have a photo of that and that wall, and it did not have a crack in it when we did the work. And we came back about 5 years later and redid it. It had settled. This was one of the first ones. We had a bad drought. I don't know. It's been probably 12, 13 years ago now. And all this thing had settled. And I took a picture, and that was the worst crack, was right there where I had that photo. And that crack in the foundation wall wasn't there. I ended up counting 13 foundation wall cracks in this little 20 by 20 garage.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it was. Uh, we did the work and it wasn't our issue, but the neighbors were so impressed that we came out and did that. They bought a floor
Mhm.
and they ended up becoming an advocate for us. And so they even sat in our home show booth an hour or two one day and just answered questions about how great we were.
Yeah.
So,
Well, John, we've been talking an hour and 20 minutes, and we've been recording a little over an hour now. So we're
all
gonna
right.
come to a stopping point here in just a minute.
Yeah.
I hate to say so because we could continue talking for a while, but
Well, and we're going to get you here to Kansas City one of these days.
we got to. We got
So,
to figure out how to make that happen, and that's like I was telling you before. That's part of my thing. Like I business is starting to slow down a little bit. The last 3 months has been just hell on wheels. I've just
right.
been going,
Right.
and like I started this podcast at a bad time. Actually, I started
Yeah.
it going into my busy season, and
Right.
but we're gonna figure that out.
Yeah.
Anything else you want people to know about before we get off here?
I don't
Any,
believe so. If I can be a help, give me a holler. I don't know. We got the website, we got the phone numbers. Reach out to you or I. We'll figure it out. I don't even know if I have your number yet. We keep messaging, but we'll definitely trade those one of these days. But
Mhm.
yeah, if we can get you out here for the Braves game, we'll put you guys up for the weekend. You know what? I started looking. I don't know if that's a weekend game or a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now I can't
That's a
remember.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday game.
Okay, okay. I was
If it
thinking it
was
was
a
weekend, but
weekend, if it fell on the weekend, because me and my wife had talked about it, if it just happened to be the weekend,
okay.
we could have
Hold it.
probably it would have been tight, but we probably could have made that happen. But with it
Okay.
being a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday game, she's got work, and it's a little difficult for me to run off for a couple of days in the middle of the week.
Yeah. Nope. I
But
get you.
kids and whatnot. But John, I'm gonna have to get off here. But
Yep. Sounds good.
I've enjoyed it. We'll do it again soon.
All right, we'll do it. Thank you. Have a good
Have a
one.
good one, buddy.
All right.